Today I want to talk about Ronnie Perkins and Wanya Morris, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kid? Hey, young, I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Ronnie Perkins entering the NFL draft and the smoke around Wanya Morris, who has entered the transfer portal from Tennessee. So let's start with Perkins, who chose to enter the draft after a phenomenal 33 games at Oklahoma and a superlative last 6 in the 2020 class. Hitting everything but my glasses here, man. So 33 games, 32 tackles for loss, 16 and a half sacks for Ronnie Perkins. That's remarkable. And then when you take into account the 6 games that he played in 2020 for Oklahoma, 24 tackles, 10 and a half tackles for loss, and 5 and a half sacks. That's a lot of production for Oklahoma to try to, make up. And right now, talking to some folks in the NFL, the thought is Perkins is a 4th-round draft selection with an opportunity to go 3rd, 2nd, depending on how he tests. But what he showed on film was bullying folks, and he needs more than one move. Gonna know if he can bend at the top of his pass rush, show some different things for NFL teams that would like a dominant pass rusher, but like to get him for cheap. The way that Bradley Anae was viewed last year and picked up late by the Dallas Cowboys, that's the way that Ronnie Perkins is kind of viewed this year. Should he have gone back for another year at Oklahoma? It's hard to say because without putting together one of the great seasons in college football for a pass rusher, there isn't a whole lot for him to show or prove before going to the next level. The only thing that I thought might lure him back would be the opportunity to play for a national championship, as I believe that this Oklahoma team is going to be one of the 4 best teams in college football next year, and the window is open for it to win a national championship. Speaking of which, join me on Talk the Line tomorrow morning, Sunday, on the College Football on Fox YouTube channel account, where I'm going to be joined by Sam Paniatovich, and we're going to talk about college football and the national championship. Should be a lot of fun. Talk about some Heisman futures and Rattler and Oklahoma, and get into a little Texas talk as well. The other thing that I wanted to point out is it feels like Nick Bonitto would have come out and said by now he's going to enter the draft. He has not. If he does return as the starting rush linebacker for Oklahoma, he's coming off of an outstanding season. I think he's first team all PFF. 10 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, and 10 QB hurries. He affected the game in a number of ways, and he was probably Oklahoma's best pass rusher outside of Ronnie Perkins, though Isaiah Thomas was right there. Man, Isaiah Thomas had a year of years for defensive tackle at Oklahoma, and Alex Grinch was very loud about that. However, you have options behind Ronnie Perkins. You have dudes like Marcus Stripling, Reggie Grimes, and then Clayton Smith in this 21 class. Marcus Stripling, 2.5 sacks in 8 games. That's not bad. 7 games for Reggie Grimes, who's going to continue to grow. And then Clayton Smith, who might be the best pure athlete on either side of the ball for Oklahoma in this 21 class. Marcus Hicks gets healthy. You get more depth at defensive tackle, and then you might be able to play with the idea of moving LaRon Stokes out or even Isaiah Thomas out. We'll see what happens with Jalen Redmond and how that transition might go. But I think Oklahoma is in a good spot right now, even with losing Ronnie Perkins and now Ramondre Stevenson to the NFL draft. Another guy that lost to the NFL draft is Adrian Ely, starting offensive tackle, right tackle for Oklahoma. And now there is smoke around Wanya Morris really looking hard at Oklahoma. Those of you that don't know, Wanya was a 5-star offensive tackle recruit at Tennessee. Played a couple seasons there. It was good for them. But Tennessee is under investigation internally and probably by the NCAA a little bit later on for compliance issues and recruiting violations. One of them centering around their recruitment of Amarius Mims, who eventually committed and signed with Georgia and was one of the top offensive tackles in the country coming out of high school, this year. Another thing to add here is Wanya is joined by Ty Chandler, JT Strout, DeAndre Johnson, and Austin Pope going into the portal, to say nothing of Bryce Thompson, who went into the NFL draft. JT Strout, quarterback, he's going to go to Colorado. It feels like they're coming apart. It feels like kids are seeing how this is going to go. Eric Gray was kind of left out of Tennessee's final games for reasons that Jeremy Pruitt didn't want to go into. There's thought that these compliance issues also extend to him. And now you've lost your two best running backs and you've lost your best offensive lineman. We'll see where it goes from there, man. But like getting a guy like Wanya Morris to Oklahoma would be tremendous, especially after missing out on, well, dude that you really wanted to have, and Bryce Foster thought could play some offensive line for you in 21. If you could add him to a line that's going to feature, well, Andrew Rain, Marquise Hayes, Chris Murray, goodness me, man. You still got Bray Walker on the sheet there. So you could have an outstanding offensive line that just got better if you can add a guy like Wanya Morris. We'll see where he ends up. I know that Florida is also coming after him pretty hard, and they're in a rebuild mode. Oklahoma is in a win-now mode, and that might be more, well, attractive to a guy like Wanya Morris. Plus, Bill Bedenbaugh has a tremendous record putting offensive linemen in the NFL who go on to do pretty cool things. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.